Well, tell me a little more about your project.
Okay, so my project is about video games and if it affects your sleep. So, yeah, I
Um,
was gonna ask the first question, which was on a scale of 1 to 10, how much time do you spend playing your video games?
Me personally,
Yes,
well,
person.
it really varies. So I only play video games now Sunday morning. I have a group that I'll get up early, um, and my fiance is still asleep, and it's a little quiet time for me to get together, and I play Civilization six, or is it, yeah, Civilization six with some old buddies from high school. So I'll do that maybe 2 or 3 hours, and that's the extent of my video games. Now I haven't been doing that in the summer just because it's so nice out, and it's so I just want to be outside. I want to work out and been kind of busy, so it depends on the time of year. But so that's me. You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking
Oh,
you.
yeah, yeah. So that's me. I mean, back in the day, though, I used to play quite a bit more. So I mean, if you would ask me in high school or college, I'd play a couple hours a day.
Yeah, what games did you play for those couple of hours?
Well, it was Counter Strike, Warcraft 3, Dungeons and Dragons Online, World of Warcraft, those type of games, Age of Empires.
So PC games, basically, because I know Counter Strike is a PC game, and I've heard like a lot about it, mostly negative because people tend to get caught cheating. So I've heard I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was an avid PC gamer, and we looked down our nose at console gamers. So we were very snobby about being PC gamers, and that was my group. We built our own computers, and we were all obsessed about who's got the best graphics card, who's got the best hardware, and we were always trying to upgrade them when the new games came out. And we were really proud of our kind of tech savviness, and to a point where I grew up in a time when we didn't have high speed internet where I lived out in the country, so we had dial up connection. And so in order to play our games together, we had to actually be physically present. So we'd have to build our own network. We'd move all our computers together in somebody's garage and then run the cable and connect the computers because internet connection was so poor. And then when internet speed upgraded, when I was in about high school and we got high speed internet and games like World of Warcraft came out, then we didn't need to network anymore. We didn't need to get together anymore. And so we could play online. And so that really changed the scene. It really changed the group. And personally, it became less fun for me. I didn't enjoy playing online as much as playing, doing local area connections. So that was a big shift for me. And I think also just getting busy. I remember getting a job and getting busy with school. Eventually, it kind of just phased out for me.
Okay, for my second question is when you played in college, did you often had nights where you played for about an hour and when you went to sleep, did you have trouble falling asleep or did you have any issues of going into a deep sleep or did you feel that you were getting enough sleep when after you were done playing your video games?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, my sleep schedule was awful when I was a gamer. Like I would be up very late. I mean, I'd be up, 2, 3 a.m. most nights when in my heyday. So, and during the summer, I think I didn't start working till 12th grade. Um, and before that, I would just stay. I mean, I remember summer was the best. I'd stay up all night. I mean, all summer I was just up playing games. So it was I loved it. But looking back, it was just, probably not the best for me. And along with that came really poor diet, habits and exercise habits. I was eating junk food, was out of shape, but I wanted to be in better shape. And it was clearly just a product of being sedentary, looking back. But um, so yeah, it definitely did. And when I was definitely into gaming more, you did have a propensity to kind of stay up. And I don't know about deep sleep. I know that the research suggests screen time, the extra blue light you get from staring at a screen interrupts your natural sleep schedule. your circadian rhythm, and I don't have any data on that. Although I just notoriously didn't get enough sleep. In college, I'd always be cutting sleep and hitting the caffeine and, just trying to do everything all at once. And it worked out in the end, but it could have, it didn't have to be quite so hard, I don't think.
Yeah. So for my third question, when you actually gamed for about 2 to 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., did you feel that your academics suffered because of it? Did you feel that you were addicted to gaming?
Well, I wouldn't say I was addicted. I don't know if I'd use that term. I would say that I think, in college in particular, I had a priority. My priority was definitely passing and doing well in college. And at that point, my gaming started to take a back seat, and I started getting more interested in other things. And so for me, college kind of woke me up a little bit. But I would say there was a period in middle school, early high school where my priority was more on games and my social life and leisure and recreation life than school and academics. And I think that was kind of a loss. But did it affect my grades? Definitely. I mean, certainly. It's definitely a little bit of a distraction. But you also have to say, people need relaxation. They need downtime. They need a healthy amount of being able to have some fun and even connect with their friends. So I wouldn't have, if I could go back, I wouldn't change my college habits too much, besides maybe trying to get more sleep.
Okay, for my third question, as we see these new video games being put out, such as Modern Warfare with their Warzone, Fortnite with their Battle Royale, and
Right.
other Battle Royale games, do you feel that these game modes are currently attributing to teenagers and young adults not getting enough sleep?
Well, I think it's part of the whole. I don't know if you watched the lectures from the last module, but we talked about the idea of assemblage and articulation.
Yeah, I saw it.
So I think that video games are part of the whole culture that has emerged around screen time, and how many young people's lives, many people's across the board. You think about it, our lives are spent between screens. It's like you work on a screen if you're in a particular industry, and you have fun, you listen to music, you watch YouTube, you watch TV, you play games. And it's almost like, half of your life is spent on the screen. And so, yeah, I think that definitely interrupts certain elements of. I think all of that taken into conjunction definitely affects young people in particular's sleep schedule. Now, I know there's studies that show that young people need more sleep, actually, especially teenagers need more sleep than older people, and they do better when they get up a little later and they go to bed a little later. Uh, but it seems like so much, and if you talk to high school educators or parents of people, where students live in the house, they know that their kids are kind of walking dead for the first few hours of the day. And so you have to know that they're not getting the most out of their other activities if they're sleep deprived and so forth. So I do think it's part of the mix that is contributing to a lack of good sleep and health outcomes, and a lack of achievement for more and more people. And it's just the fact that video games are getting better and better. They're so entertaining and they're beautiful. Like, the graphics are incredible. You can connect with people. You can have fun immediately. They're incredibly engrossing. There's a lot of money in video games. Our culture and private companies have invested a ton of money in them because they make money. They gain an audience. So it just simply makes sense that people are attracted to them. So I do think it's part of the picture, but it's not the whole picture.
Okay, for my fourth question, do you think younger kids are more prone to having more sleep issues playing video games at night rather than someone in college who usually plays video games for about an hour, then they get off? Or do you feel that it's more the same?
Well, I know that I would wager that teenagers have a harder time with it than college age students, and I think it's just because I think it varies by individual, Curtis. I think that some students in college really struggle with the independence, and some students really thrive under the independence and responsibility of being a college student, kind of becoming your own person. Whereas, as a teenager, I think many students um, are not. They feel like they don't have as much control, and so the space in which they take control is the amount of time they spend on their phone or playing games. And so I think that research shows that the average teen spends several hours, 1 to 3 hours on their phone before they fall asleep. And so this just has to really interrupt optimal sleep. So I do think that it's a bigger issue for teens than college age students.
Okay, so another question I have to ask you: Do you believe that Do you think teenagers are more prone to be addicted to video games, such as playing them as long as about 3 hours, spending tons of money on their transactions, and neglecting their schoolwork and neglecting sleep, and also neglecting their family as well?
Well, I'm not an expert in this particular issue, so I know that some people have researched this. So I think this is something you could really look up. My guess would be that it is the case that that teens are more prone to this than other people, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong. And I would point to the developing brain, the not yet, fully formed hippocampus and so forth, and the lack of other, responsibility. I mean, you start to get into college, depending on your class, of course, and you got to work, right? And you've got you're kind of forced to have other sort of social responsibilities that make it harder to spend so much time on the screen. So I that would be my guess, but again, I'm not an expert in particular on video game screen time use.
Okay, I understand that. And also, this is my last question. Do you think there's a healthy alternative for kids who are having troubles getting sleep at night
Yeah.
after they're done playing their video games? Do you feel that parents could either step in, or do you think the kids have the ability to change that themselves?
Well, that's a good way of putting it. I do, of course, they have the ability to change. Um, I would say that they could maybe do it themselves. It depends on the individual. All things being equal, having some help, having somebody to check in on you, if it's your parents or your friends or your siblings or whatever, if you want to set a goal, then having a social component, so what we call social accountability, research shows helps dramatically. So having some kind of social check is going to help you attain your goals, whatever the goal is. That is going to vary from individual to individual. It depends on your relationship with your parents and so forth. But they're definitely, you can do it. It's hard work. And my partner Susan and I have been trying to adjust our sleep schedule to get to sleep earlier. And so it's been hard. We're trying to wind it back from like midnight back to 10:30 or 11. And even that's quite hard. And so we've just set up all these reminders, alarms, hey, start getting ready for bed, start getting ready for bed. And we kind of hold each other accountable. And it's been, a month or two now we've been working on it. And we need to adjust our eating habit back, 30 minutes to an hour, because your digestion's a big part of it. And I found, helping me get relaxed and get to sleep earlier, I need to get off my phone an hour and a half before I'm trying to get to sleep. I need to be off a screen for an hour. And so what I've been doing is reading a book or sitting in the hot tub. I sit in the hot tub, or I have a cup of tea and listen to some music. I try to find some kind of healthy activity that doesn't involve a screen to take up my last hour or hour and a half before I go to sleep. You do need to have some kind of replacement, because if you don't have something that replaces it that you enjoy, you're going to really struggle with it. But there's some other tricks you can use, like putting on a blue light filter on your screen. So you can, filter out, it makes your screen look really orange. I don't know if you've seen these before, but you can turn on filters on your screen so that the blue light doesn't affect you as much. I wear a pair of glasses, my prescription pair of glasses. Let me turn my camera on for a second. These have a blue light filter built into my lens so that I get less blue light coming into my optical nerve, into my eye, so that my sleep schedule is less interrupted throughout the day by blue light. So those little things. And then I also take, chamomile tea, some supplements like magnesium to help me relax before I go to sleep, to try to get into better sleep. So I think there's ways in which you can design behavior change, but that's a very long-winded way of answering your question.
Okay. Thank you for letting me do this interview with